Dungeons & Dragons Daggerdale is a top-down action RPG hack and slash that delivers everything you'd expect on a base level. It's got different classes, each with their own traits and specialties, a ton of varied loot to customize your build, and hordes of enemies to smash. Aside from some cosmetic bugs, it all functions fine, so if that's what you're here for, Daggerdale is good enough to kill around 8 hours, especially with a friend. That said, this isn't lazy work, at least on the mechanical end. All the skills, stats, and weapon attributes do actually matter in a big way. Every time you equip something new, you feel it, and you'll find yourself getting attached to certain weapons and armors, much like you would in Champions of Norrath or Diablo. Each upgrade to your character's gear feels meaningful and has its own special memories attached, like I got my first two-handed blade out of a random barrel, and from then on specialized in that class of weaponry, or there was that time I decided to switch solely to axes, simply because they have the chance to do more damage, sacrificing consistency in the process. And while I was optimizing my own loadout and planning my tanky fighter build, my roommate was doing the same with his powerful wizard. We spent a lot of time swapping loot, buying each other expensive equipment, and discussing stats. It was good fun. And the actual combat isn't too bad either. It feels satisfying at least. The hits are weighty and enemies have enough health to feel substantial, but there are no damage sponges. The class distinctions are also very prevalent, with the fighter and wizard requiring completely different gameplay styles. I would guzzle down potions and tear through swaths of skeletons, while Nathan summoned a rain of AoE icebergs. It can be highly hectic and equally rewarding. But you've seen and heard all of this stuff before, right? This is baseline competence for the genre, and there's also plenty of incompetence to balance it out. For example, this ostensibly D&D related product has very little to do with D&D, mechanically or narratively. Important proper nouns get thrown around and there are references to the source material's mechanics, but it's all pretty shallow stuff. And the writing is just atrocious, like maybe the worst writing I've seen in an ARPG to date. All of the characters are numbskulls, every last one of them. They're incapable of higher reasoning and all their dialogue is forgettable and superficial. There's no personality on display and the plot twists are telegraphed from miles away. Also, the game runs bad. There's frequent frame rate hitching, pervasive screen tearing, and the camera clips through the geometry all the time. These are minor annoyances on their own, but coupled with the terrible writing and average gameplay, they're a lot less forgivable. To be clear, I find Daggerdale really fun to play, but fun is not my chief concern as a critic. I can enjoy the game just fine and still admit it's below average, and it is certainly well below average.